Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Challenge Initiative for Healthy Cities second webinar. Thank you for signing in early. Right now you're on mute as we allow everyone to log in. If you'd like to introduce yourself, please feel free to use the chat box. And we'd love to hear who's on this webinar today with us. We'll be getting started in about 5 minutes. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. We'll be getting started in about 2 minutes, so please feel free to introduce yourselves via the chat window, and you'll be hearing from the presenters shortly. Well, we're now at 5:30, so we'll get started. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, and welcome to the Challenge Initiative for Healthy Cities second webinar on learnings and impact from the introduction and scale up of proven family planning and adolescent and youth sexual and reproductive health solutions. TCIHC's vision, a business unusual approach to scaling up and sustaining proven urban reproductive health solutions. Today, you will be introduced to one of the proven solutions that we have worked with local government to implement that is effective in not only engaging men in family planning, but also increasing their uptake of non-scalpel vasectomy. Before we get started with the presentation on TCIHC's male engagement strategy, I'd like to remind folks that TCIHC provides coaching support to local governments of Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Odisha, working with 31 cities across the 3 states to implement these high impact approaches. Of the 31 cities, the male engagement approach was initially scaled up in the 20 cities of UP. Please allow me to introduce you to today's speakers, my TCIHC colleagues from PSI India. Samarendra Behera, TCIHC's General Manager of Programs. He leads the management of TCIHC in UP. Samahendra is a development professional with over 15 years of experience and has strong expertise in program management, government liaisoning, and organizational development. He possesses strong experience and hands-on knowledge of working on reproductive health, urban health, and maternal and child health issues. Vivek Dwivedi, the Senior Manager of Operations for the TCIHC UP team. He led work on male engagement during his Urban Health Initiative tenure and his association with Mary Stopes International, and at TCIHC helps male clients obtain their choice of services. Planning, strategizing, and executing male engagement activities are his forte. His other strengths include government liaisoning, program management, and social marketing. Kriti Pathak, Manager of Programs for Varanasi, is part of TCIHC's Uttar Pradesh team. In addition to her role as city manager, she played an instrumental role in promoting a male engagement strategy at the city level and in advocating the city to regenerate non-scalpel vasectomy program. She has 10 years of experience in maternal newborn child health, adolescent health, building life skills, HIV/AIDS, NGO partnerships, and marketing and social marketing. Welcome our presenters and speakers today. This slide outlines what you will be hearing from our panelists. The speakers will speak and present for about 30 minutes or so. We welcome you to ask questions along the way by using the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. It will be easier for us to manage those questions. We'll try to keep an eye on the chat, but if you can try to ask your questions via the Q&A feature, it will just help us stay a bit better organized. So thank you. We will try to ask the speakers along with TCIHC's Chief of Party, Mukesh Sharma, to answer as many as possible of the questions at the end of the presentation. So now I'd like to turn the presentation over to my esteemed colleagues. Samahendra, if you can please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Myself, Samarendra Behera, General Manager Operations for the state of Uttar Pradesh, TCIHC Program Hub, India. I welcome you all again to today's webinar titled Towards a Mindset Shift, Specific Male Engagement Strategy Increases Male Participation in Family Planning. I'm going to begin today's session expressing my thanks to the Government of Uttar Pradesh, National Health Mission, and State Innovations in Family Planning Services Project Agency, named SIPSA, for their tremendous leadership and support to TCIHC. I'm also thankful to all city-level government officials, including Chief Medical Officers, Nodal Officers, Family Planning and Urban Health, Divisional Program Managers, District Program Managers, and Urban Health Coordinators, who have given their time and resources to implement this important agenda in the cities of Uttar Pradesh. My thanks to our donors, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Gates Institute, at Johns Hopkins University for their continued trust and confidence in us. Next slide, please. Here are two numbers displayed in the slide. May I request you all to please answer the questions that pops across your screen now. Let's wait for the results. I hope everyone is participating. Yeah, great. Here are the results. So 87.7% of us got the right answer. 0.3% is the contribution of male sterilization to the national family planning method mix. And I believe that the situation is almost same across the globe, especially among the vulnerable population. The poll results may not be surprising for many of us, given that globally, women remain the primary focus of family planning programs in light of their reproductive physiology and social roles. National Family Health Survey 2015-2016 indicate that the share of male control methods is 5.9%, out of which 5.6% is the share taken by condom, and only a mere 0.3% is the share of vasectomy. There is definitely a need to revive male methods, especially non-scalpel vasectomy, to contribute to the family planning efforts, and this requires a male engagement strategy. Next slide, please. Engaging men in family planning programs holds a promise as a means to improve access and use of family planning in India. Male engagement in family planning refers to the involvement of men as one, client and users, second, supportive partners, and the third one is agents of change. Today's session will primarily focus on male engagement as clients and users. Next slide, please. Differences in female and male contraceptive uses are not only due to the fact that few male-controlled modern methods exist. For example, the use of vasectomy is lower than the use of tubal ligation, even where vasectomy is widely available. Let us look at the quotes in the screen. I don't think I will be able to please my wife. Most importantly, I will not be able to do the hard work. Comments say young men. Myths and misconceptions are among the demand side barriers that limit the use of vasectomy. Myths by both partners about the effect of vasectomy on masculinity, like physical weakness, unable to please spouse or partner sexually. The second quote is from a provider in the middle of the box. Practice leads to perfection. I do not get clients for vasectomy. For one client in 6 months, I cannot invest time and resource in training my staff on care and support to males. Training healthcare staff in communication skills to help them overcome any reluctance to talk about male sexual and family planning issues is recommended to make them more effective counselors. This is, however, resource intensive and needs coordinated efforts, including time and resources. With low demand, providers are reluctant to invest resources. Additionally, less number of clients for vasectomy procedures indirectly affects providers as they lose their skills due to non-practice. The third quote is, compare the IC for men and women. The difference is there for everyone to see. We have very limited materials that talk to men, says an officer from NHM Sipsa. Community distribution is targeted at women. IC materials are targeted at women. Do we see that even the family planning value chain is slightly skewed towards putting women in the center? A growing number of programmatic examples and research findings, both globally and in India, point to the barriers that exist in making vasectomy as a method choice. myths among men being one of the critical barriers. Next slide, please. In this slide, we go back in time to look at some of the program implemented in India over the past decades to increase men's knowledge of and support for family planning methods and their partners' reproductive health. Most effective interventions for increasing men's engagement in family planning have been multifaceted and resource intensive and addressed the demand and supply side to a large extent. The list below are key interventions from few of the successful male engagement programs in the country, including Urban Health Initiative UHI and expanding access to quality EAQ. Key interventions that these projects invested are: one is specific male engagement activities, two, a cadre of interpersonal communicators, three, mass media communication on vasectomy, four, training of healthcare support staff to address provider biases. I would like to ask a question here. What, according to you, is the biggest link missing here? I see a raised hand from one of my colleagues, Umam. Umam is our city manager from Aligarh. He leads the TCIC in the city of Aligarh and has been associated with Urban Health Initiative as well. So let's hear what he has to say. Over to Umam.
Hi everyone. I would say the missing strategy is putting government in the lead. While projects went ahead with investment in electronic media campaign, interpersonal communicators, training of both public sector and private sector providers, address supply side and demand side barriers. But there is more work to be executed towards strengthening the enabling environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Umam. Absolutely. Garnering government and political commitments towards investing in male engagement agenda in family planning is key. Next slide, please. The impact of not putting government in the driver's seat is here for everyone to study. As the project's investments reduce, the results show a diminishing trend. The graphs on the screen are result from two projects in discussion, the UHI and the EAQ projects. The results from UHI project indicate that during the project intervention period, the vasectomy clients in the project cities were steadily on a rise, and towards the end, it was almost over 5,000 clients from the implementation cities. The EAQ project implementation began 2 years after the UHI project ended. The cities have seen a decline from over 5,000 clients to about 3,000 clients. This number then again steadily doubled in just 12 months with project intervention. It is evident that project investments important to develop a male engagement framework. However, for sustainability, it is critical that government are in the driver's seat. The next slide will focus on some of the key implementation steps. Vivek Dwivedi, our panelist today, is the Senior Manager Operation, leading program operation in 10 intervention cities. I would like to invite him to take us through the steps. Over to Vivek.
Thank you, Samren. Hi, everyone. Great to connect with the TCIC family, albeit virtually. Let me begin with the two implementation strategies the program developed. One, mindset shift among health leadership and local governments towards building a programmatic framework that is sustainable and impactful. Two, mindset shift among married men by busting myths associated with vasectomy. Next slide, please. We will first talk about mindset shift among health leadership. The illustration details the implementation framework. There are three key steps. One, behavior change communication to bust myths that prevail among men and their spouses. Two, quality provisioning of the procedure at both private and public facilities. Three, post-operation care and support. At each of the steps, the framework puts government in the lead. Busting myths. Frontline health workers engage in behavior change discussions with men, couples, or sometimes only wives. Government's cadre of health worker, ASHA, takes the lead in this activity. TCIC only supports coaching of ASHA. Consenting clients are referred to both government facilities and government accredited private sector facilities. Providers at the facilities and support staff are trained by government trainers and resources. cost of services to the private sector is reimbursed by government to the private sector. TCIHC only supports by informing facilities on the flow of clients so that facilities are adequately prepared. Post-surgery followed up for care and support by frontline healthcare workers. Again, care and support provided by ASHA. TCIHC coaches ASHA on post-care counseling, follow-up and support. Here also government is in driver's seat. Next slide please. Continuing with our strategy, which is mindset shift among health leadership. The program invested in a cadre of coaches to mentor and guide ASHA, while the government cadre of frontline health workers, ASHAs, were identified to carry out behavior change discussions. ASHAs were not ready for this task. ASHAs are fondly called the Bahus of the community, which means daughters-in-law of the community. The title also comes with the responsibility of adhering to cultural and societal norms that exist within the communities, that making it difficult for an ASHA to approach men with family planning information and choices. To negotiate through these strong norms and beliefs, the ASHA needs a coach by her side. So the first step was to influence growth mindset amongst ASHAs. She needed a coach and she needed a mentor. Towards this, the program developed a tactic titled 1:2 and 1:10. So what is 1:2? One coach to two ASHAs. During coaching sessions, the coach addressed two ASHAs at a time and demonstrated methods to demystify the myths around vasectomy. The coaches worked with ASHAs in a specific slum and demonstrated conduct of counselings to men and counseling to couple. 1:2. Besides this, ASHAs in groups of 10 were coached to develop micro plans of the area to be covered. This detailed male congregation points identified workplaces within the slums and household she should focus on list of men who wanted family planning and referred them to nearby service delivery points. The coaching sessions prepared over 250 ASHAs who were ready to begin program activities in the cities. City government officials provided supervisory support, which is critical towards accountability for both ASHA and her supervisor. Now, I will be joined by my colleague Kriti Pathak, who is Manager Programs 1C for TCIHC UPT. She will be sharing the key implementation steps, mindset shift among health leadership, mindset shift among men. Over to Kriti.
Thank you, Vivek. Extremely happy to be here and presenting TCIHC's male engagement strategy to this wonderful audience. The project was given a time period beginning February 2019 to January 2020 to demonstrate program design with the government leading and the project supporting. The project geography was selected in discussion with the government. TCIHC and CIPSA jointly implemented this in 20 cities of UP, which TCIHC playing the role of a coach and the government provision budget for the activity, such as printing of material targeted at men, refresher training for providers, quick and efficient reimbursement of cost to private sector providers, period review of program at both city and state level. Most important of them all, reward and recognition of ASHAs. ASHA's remuneration has a large component which is variable. Hence, it is important to motivate them through reward and recognition. Government celebrate ASHA's Day and recognize high-performing ASHAs on NSV fortnight through appreciation letters. TCIHC ensured that ASHAs were recognized on these forums. Next slide, please. Specific demand generation activities included 1. Interventions at chaurahas. Chaurahas are places where most men gathered at a fixed time daily for finding odd jobs as laborers. As men congregate here, so mobilizers can approach them and clarify myths about male methods. This activity is most crucial since most of the myths associated with NSV are strongly perceived by this group who do hard and physical work. 2. Rickshaw puller interventions. The program leveraged the network to meet and educate men on the benefits of method and dispel myths, if any. 3. Workplace interventions. The demand generation team engaged men working in small and home-based industries in slum areas to help them to understand the merit of NSV as a method of family planning. The focus was to remove the myth that NSV acceptors cannot work hard. Team, with the support of identified key influencers at the workplace, contacted men who desired NSV services. Identifying a key influencer is crucial for this intervention to show results. 4. Evening meetings. Most men in the slums are available in the evening. Thus, the demand generation team conducting evening meetings in the slum areas and counsel couple on all family planning methods. Next slide, please. This small group of team leads influenced mindset in Ashas towards a growth mindset. These Ashas, over 250 in numbers, ably conducted over 4,000 Charaha meetings, 250 workplace intervention, and more than 1,700 rickshaw puller meetings and over 2,000 evening meetings. Ashas follow up with these group meetings with home visits and one-on-one meeting with couples. I will also like to read out a few voices from our implementation cities. The first one is from an Asha who motivated 17 men for vasectomy. We found that majority, there were two issues why men did not seek family planning services. First, family planning is perceived as women's responsibility as they give birth. And second, there are multiple myths, misconception, and social taboos with NSV. The other quote is from Dr. A.K. Singh, who is a nodal officer in the TCIHC supported city of Kanpur. Ashas are women and mostly interact with women. Initially, we were not comfortable that they will visit Chauraha and talk with men on such a sensitive issue. But they have done a commendable job and have given results. Thanks to the continuous coaching and mentoring provided to them by TCIHC. Thank you. So with this, we wrap up the section on key implementation steps. I'm going to pass mic to Samrendra. He will talk to us in detail on the implementation consultation.
Thank you, Kriti. In this slide, we will see what are the key implementation activities programmers must consider when scaling or adapting the intervention to other geographies. Implementation considerations are 6 in number and they are 1. Local government ownership, strategic planning, financing, and support of policymakers who appreciate the importance and benefits of engaging men and boys in the FP space. Second, identifying coaches within the system. This is important towards sustainability. The role played by the coach has to be transitioned to the frontline health workers as natural coach. Third, formation of city and district level monitoring process. Monitoring and evaluation for FP outcomes are necessary to improve the quality of programs and to advocate for the importance of this work. It is very important that these meetings follow a periodicity. The fourth one, reward and recognition of stakeholders. This includes ASHA as well. Also recognize men who make the choice as change agents. Fifth one, establish adopters as FP champions in the community. And sixth, advocate for inclusion of activity cost in government annual budgets. Next slide, please. I would request Samren to carry on, please.
Yeah, thank you, Vivek. This slide tells about what were our key challenges in this journey, standard guidelines and protocols, direct cement test for NSV adapters after a period of 3 months to ascertain semen count. This gets difficult with migrant population. Large cities in Uttar Pradesh have migrants coming out into the city during the day for work. Tracking them for a confirmation test after 3 months looms a big challenge. Even the second challenge is ASHAs plan their working hours during the day. Men are at working during the day, nudging ASHA to allocate 1 or 2 days in a week to plan evening meetings is also a challenge. The third challenge is when demand increases, there will be a need for more experienced surgeons. We currently have a shortage of experienced surgeons who can conduct the procedure. The next is that we are sure that when the government scales up the program, it will provision for training and capacity building of the providers. Even mobile technology may be leveraged for follow-up of the support and stressing users so that they can be contacted and referred to facilities for a cement test. Next slide, please. This section focuses on the results achieved by the program. When we look at the histogram, it is hard to notice that the non-TCI cities show no or minimal increase of 34% vis-a-vis TCI cities where there is significant increase by 87% in NSB acceptors. This increase in 20 TCI cities supported cities and the state to record 75% increase in the NSB acceptors. These are the results which recorded from 11-month demonstration. This multiplier effect is because of the leadership that both state and the city government exhibited. Monthly review, constant monitoring, and an effective mechanism to coach and supervise ASA is resulting in phenomenal uptake of NSB among men. This is indeed showing that when men are clear about their role in family planning and receive correct information on the methods, they show promise of engagement as adopters. Next slide, please. Take a look at the pie chart here, which shows that 20 TCI supported cities, which are only 27% of the state's total cities, contributes 83% of the total NSB actives in overall state performance. Rest 55 cities not supported by TCSC, which are 73% of the state's total cities, contributes only 17% to total NSB acceptors in the state performance. The success of this demonstration is leading to the state government of Uttar Pradesh ready to sustain the program in the 20 cities and additionally scale this to other cities of the state. Next slide, please. This slide shows the key learnings. So what did we learn? Men play a significant role in family decision. Educating men on family planning and clearly articulating their role in family planning improves couple communication and also results in men supporting their wives in this decision. Engaging men is not a one-off activity. It is long-term and requires coordinated efforts from both public and private sector with government leading the partnership. It is essential to start early by reading adolescent boys and young men. These are some of the lessons we learned. We have a dream to build an encouraging and enabling environment for men to be engaged in family planning, both as clients and as women's partners. We never discussed matters, but since his participation in the Chauraya meeting, we talk about sex, family planning, and how to enjoy marriage. Quips, a young woman whom I met in a slum in Agra. This is our most significant win. The program's power to create opportunities to redefine inequitable gender norms related to family planning is our win. TCSC India Hub has now successfully transitioned the program to the government of Uttar Pradesh. We will now be in the observe stage and will closely monitor the program's sustainability in the cities. My deep gratitude to the 20 coaches who are stationed in the 20 implementation sites, coaching and mentoring over 3,000 ASAs to take that big leap in creating comfort zones for men to discuss family planning. A big step indeed for the ASAs and a giant leap for engaging men in family planning. My call out to the TCSC city managers of the 20 cities for their passion and hard work to drive this change. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to all the panelists. That was extremely informative and very exciting to hear about such successes with a very taboo or challenging topic nonetheless. And as a result, I wanted to ask, you shared 4 key challenges that TCIHC has faced. And I wondered if you could spend a little bit more time talking about how TCIHC has addressed those challenges that you have encountered.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. So while implementing this male engagement strategy, so we had a lot of challenges, and also even we did some activities, we advocated with the government, we discussed with multiple stakeholders to overcome these challenges. Like one of the key challenge was limited number of facilities. So in UP, and that too in the 20 cities where we have worked, TCI supported cities, the limited number of facilities were very, there were less number of facilities. So TCISC team have advocated with the government, at the state government and with the city government, and have identified potential private facilities. And these potential private facilities were accredited by the state government of Uttar Pradesh for strategic purchase of the family planning services. And this includes the NSP services. So by this, the number of facilities has been increased. The second challenge was there are limited number of trained surgeons who provides NSP. So here also TCISC team advocated with the state government as well as with the city government, city officials to ensure that those trained surgeons who are posted at the block level primary health centers or community health centers where NSP services are not provisioned. But with our advocacy and with the government's will and efficiency, these surgeons were now posted at the district hospitals at the city level, and they are providing the NSP services. The third challenge was that tracking NSP acceptors for confirmation cement test after 3 months of their NSP procedure. So this is a challenge which is, yet it's also a challenge right now. But in this aspect, most of the things have been moved. Like in some of the cities where there are medical colleges are there. So government has initiated the cement testing centers in those medical colleges. But in most of the cities where the medical colleges are not there, right now the government is focusing on taking into the district hospitals, district level facilities to initiate cement testing. But in these cities, the private facilities are providing, but these are provided with a cost. The fourth was that mostly ASHAs find it difficult to talk to males in the community about family planning matters. So here we have seen that being ASHAs are positioned in this community as the daughter-in-law or sister-in-law of that particular community. So for a ASHA who is a woman and who is positioned as a daughter-in-law in the society, so she has to talk to a man about the family planning, and that too about the male engagement in the family planning or accepting NSP as a method of family planning. So this is something which is very difficult, but we have seen many ASHAs accompanied with her husband, and they do talk to the male persons or to the couples. And by this way, these challenges were addressed. I hope, Lisa, I would able to answer your question.
Yes, very well. And that's very exciting to hear that couples, the male partner was often accompanying the female ASHA. That kind of presents a really great positive deviance or good social role models, for that community. So that's very exciting to hear. We have a few questions that came in. And two relate to the ASHAs specifically. So I'm gonna ask you those first. So one of the questions were, given that ASHAs are mainly women, is there any opportunity for there to be male ASHAs? So that's one of the questions. And then the other question is, in terms of ASHAs, their incentives. So was there any incentives provided by the government for ASHAs to refer non-scalpel vasectomy clients?
Okay.
Should I answer? Yeah, Samrendra, should I answer this question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so thanks, Lisa, and thanks the person who asked the question. This is very interesting. So ASHAs that who are accredited social health activists and volunteers in the communities, they have been recruited by government to do all type of community level health activities, be it for immunization or ANC, PNC, mostly related to the women. So that's why there is a cadre of only female ASHAs in the communities. Earlier in India, there was a provision of male worker, but gradually government didn't hire those the male extension workers. But ASHAs are accountable for all type of health activities in slums. So we don't have any male ASHA and there is no provision for the male ASHA. But the best part is, if you see the numbers of NSB, there are ASHAs and there are women who are the counselors, informed choice counseling they are providing, and they have done, I mean, thousands of NSV. They helped thousands of men to have NSV. So we are not saying that there is any problem in gender if it's a male or female ASHA. If you are bold enough, if you are ready to talk at any place on contraceptive, you can help many of male to take method. The second part of the question was the incentive. The incentives are there or not. So as I mentioned that ASHAs are volunteers, so they are incentivized for everything. So they don't have any fixed kind of salary from government. So whatever they are doing, they are getting some amount for that. For example, if they are maintaining a register monthly, they are getting some money. If they are visiting certain households, they are getting some money. If they are supporting an immunization, they are getting some money. Similarly, they are doing referring or helping a man or women to take a family planning method, they are getting the money. So yes, incentives for all the work ASHA does is defined and explained by Government of India and state governments.
Thank you so much for those responses, Mukesh. Another question that came in is related to one of the key learnings that was shared about the need to also, start early by reaching adolescent boys and young men and their influencers. So the question is, has TCIHC worked with adolescent boys since the focus there is not necessarily on non-scapular vasectomy? So what is the approach and what are success criteria for that as a result?
So under TCSC, we have focused under our AY component. We are focusing on the adolescent boys and girls. But through this particular approach, when we are counseling or when the ASHA or our coaches, they are talking to the women or talking to the male persons. So we have not yet focused with the adolescent boys, because the government guideline is also clearly saying that NSB is something which is accepted by the age group of 22 years to 60 years. So focusing to the male counterparts, mainly to the male persons who are above. But yes, definitely, I think this is a good question, and looking forward, we can take into consideration that while talking to the kind of male persons, we will consider the married adolescent boys or married adolescent men to ensure that this can be taken up. I think I can request Mukesh to add something if.
Yeah, thanks, Amrind. And you rightly mentioned that this approach, especially the community mobilization approach, focused on married. But yes, we definitely cover the married adolescents. And why married adolescent? The next question can be that why married adolescent? Because it's permanent method that perhaps man who is too young, like 21, 22 year of age, why he will require an NSV or permanent method. So this entire male engagement strategy focused on informed choice. So whenever we are talking to a married man, or ASHA is talking to a married man, or coach is talking to a married man, it's about all the methods and helping them to choose a good method either for himself, permanent method or condom, or supporting his spouse to take a suitable method. So what we see that the number which has been reversed in these 20 cities, there is a role of male engagement strategy. So the male who are the key decision maker in the family, if they are hearing these things, informed choice, and knowing more about the methods, they also help their spouses to get a method of their choice. And in our adolescent health program, yes, with unmarried boys and girls, in our community days and facility days, we are definitely discussing the contraceptions too, along with the all other adolescent related issues.
Thank you so much for those additional comments, Mukesh. We're starting to get really a lot more questions in, so I hope people are ready for some more Q&A. I do want to just note, though, that we've gotten a lot of chat messages about excellent presentation, and thank you for sharing the key learnings. A lot of people can relate to them, given that their own work environment is in which most of the decisions related to family planning are kind of taken up by the men, and just decisions in general. And from Oyang, he wrote, excellent presentation and results on one of the most difficult programmatic challenges anywhere in the world, motivating men to accept non-scapular vasectomy, a much simpler and more cost-effective intervention than tubal ligation. This is a huge feat. So once again, just congratulations to the TCI-HC team. And we can tell from the number of participants or attendees in this webinar that this is very much a hot topic of interest. So I'd like to move to some of the additional questions that have come in. One was a question about what about the feasibility of organizing FDS for non-scapular vasectomy? Has that been considered by the team or by the government?
Yeah, so Mukesh again, Lisa. So this is a great question. So what we have learned in family planning that FDS, fixed day static services, worked for most of the methods. IUCD, injectable, female sterilization, even for with UHND, which is again fixed urban health and nutrition day, which is again the fixed day that caters condoms, pills, and all these. Interestingly, in male engagement, we didn't see that much of success of frequent fixed day services. If it's not frequent, it's okay. For example, government of Uttar Pradesh has fixed 21st of every month as NSV day. So that is the fixed day for each of the cities, each of the urban rural areas for fixed day services for male sterilization. But at the same time, this strategy also focused that these services are available every day, and whenever a man is willing to have this procedure done, he can go and he can get that. And Oyang rightly said that it's very simple, cost effective, and there is almost no morbidity or mortality related to this. So you are walking in the hospital and coming in 10 minutes, coming back with your smile. So facility should be ready anytime when a person is coming to take this method. So yes, routine days and fixed day services both have a role here.
Great, thank you so much. And we received a number of additional questions, specifically again, related to the ASHAs and like what keeps the ASHAs motivated given that they face a lot of challenges. Another question was, ASHAs finding it difficult to talk to male clients. Can we explore more communication methods such as like video calling or use of electronic media?
Samrendra, you will take this question?
Yeah, definitely. So the first question is that whether ASHA is finding it, difficult. So in the male engagement, what we have seen, the thing is that when we have a, multiple, kind of talks or multiple kind of, it's in a kind of a face-to-face talk. So there are lots of, kind of mass media and mid-media communications has been happened earlier, and even the government is also putting more focus on, mass media and mid-media kind of campaigns. But the thing is that whenever a man or whenever a male wants to have some kind of family planning services, he definitely wants someone who can, support him, someone can guide him, someone can tell about the do's and don'ts of the things. So here ASHA plays a vital role, either ASHA or the coach, those who want to, create the demand generation for the male, they play a vital role in terms of, making that man and making that, person ably understand about the NSP or the vasectomy. And the second part of the question is that ASHAs are, finding it difficult to talk to the men. So for this particular thing, we have also, one of our strategy was when we have posted a few of the confident and non-hesitant ASHA, those who are talking to the men and those who can talk to the men. So when we have, worked with them and we have followed the 1:2 and 1:10 ratio for coaching those ASAs to ensure that they can, go to the, male congregation points and talk to the men. And there we have handholded them. There we have demonstrated and we have supported them. So that was purely the lead and assist and observe model. First, the coach of TCISC, they have led the activity. Then it was no, they assisted the ASA, and ASA was taking in the lead. Then the ASA was the lead person, and the coach was observing where they have to focus and how they have to. So this way, I think this is the way that no, male engagement can be easily take up, and it can be ensured. I think
Let me
some
add.
other panelists, if they can add something to it.
Yeah, Samrendra. So let me add a point here. So this is a
Yeah.
good question, that what motivates Ashas? It's very important. And I think Vivek presented in his presentation, and Kriti also mentioned a bit about that, about the reward and recognition. Just imagine that there are around 4,000 Ashas in these 20 cities in urban areas, and 250 are engaged in, doing such a difficult task where if they are successful, everybody will know them. So first is getting them to the reward and recognition level. And believe me, in a city where 2-3 ASAs are doing very well in NSP, they are known by everyone. All urban health coordinators know them by their name. All chief medical officers know them by their name. And everybody knows about these ASAs who are working really well in terms of doing this very difficult task. And based on their performance, they are being rewarded and awarded through certificates, and giving them opportunity to participate in different type of meetings, calling them in different type of occasion at the city level, which are being organized by cities. So this reward recognition definitely help them to motivate, and it's a part of their work and it's a part of their earning.
Thank you for sharing that. And I was trying to show that we have an ASHA's recognized in Kanpur for promoting male family planning methods story on TCI. And it's at that link at the bottom of the screen. The slides will be shared along with the recording afterwards. And then another question that came in was around the approach that was taken and kind of the future of the approach. Does TCI-HC plan to provide counselor UPHC-wise so that mobilization can be more effective?
So if I got the question correctly, Lisa. So the question is about how we are connecting ASHAs UPSC wise to get this, NSP work or male engagement work done, correct?
Yes, that was my understanding.
Yeah. So see how the structure works in urban areas in India. So at every 2,000 to 2,500 population, there is one volunteer called ASHA, accredited social health activists. ANMs are supervisors of ASHAs, and each ASHA is connected with one of the urban primary health center. Urban primary health center caters around 50,000 population, which includes 30 to 35,000 slum population. Means in one urban primary health center, there are maximum 20-25 ASHAs connected. Now, when ASHAs are connected with urban primary health center, but urban primary health center are not equipped to provide sterilization services. So there is no operation theater. They can provide services up till IUCD and injectable. So ASHAs has to work with those UPSC area. So they are being monitored by UPSC, they are being guided by UPSC, they are being reviewed by UPSC, their plan is approved by UPSC. For the higher order method, including male and female sterilization, they have to refer the client to district level hospitals, government and private, accredited private facilities. And these referrals are recorded by urban primary health center, that how many people have been referred by ASHAs for the higher order family planning services to the higher order facilities. So yes, urban primary health center is the key for all the ASHAs, but as they are not providing sterilization services, the clients are being referred to district level hospitals.
Great, thanks for that clarification. It looks like we have another question that came in. While it's a great way to engage and bring the male partners on the front line in an effort to promote family planning initiatives, how are we looking towards sustainability? What are the ways in which we see the health system gets automated towards the same. So, and I think there's some, if anyone wants to kind of reiterate maybe some of the key points on the health leadership, that might be useful.
So
Yeah,
Samrinder,
yeah.
I would request you, Samrinder, to give the background of how it started with the joint, planning with CIPSA.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Mukesh. And thank you who have asked this question. This is really a very good question. And the second thing is that when we have initiated this process of male engagement activity, so the proposal which was developed, it was a joint developed by the TCIC and the CIPSA. CIPSA is a quasi-government body of government of Uttar Pradesh, and it is purely, financed by the National Health Mission, and it is headed by a senior level bureaucrat. So this particular organization, CIPSA and TCI, both have jointly, formed this particular proposal, and they have also whatever the districts, the cities we have finalized, the all 20 cities. This was also finalized with the discussion of the CIPSA, and then we have started implementation of this particular project. So in the initial of the proposal, designing stage, it was clearly mentioned that TCIC will be implementing this program for a period of 8 months to 11 months or 12 months. And soon after that, the CIPSA, the NHM will be taking forward it with their own resources. And in this process, the CIPSA has the approval from their governing body, and it is already approved, and the resources are also parked as well. So once this COVID-19 is improved, COVID-19 situation is improved, this will be taken forward. So looking down into the sustainability part, once it will be taken up by the government and it is implemented by the government resources, it gets automated and it gets, sustainability is already ensured.
That's really helpful. And that also relates to another question that came on in terms of, is there any further plans to continue these activities? So even beyond Uttar Pradesh, have there been any interest by other states to try this out? Or what was unique about Uttar Pradesh in being willing to take on kind of this approach?
So Lisa, the first thing is, we had received a request from Madhya Pradesh and Odisha both to understand this model and to replicate and scale in their states. So we had shared our tools and all the how-to parts with them. We had 1 day of orientation in Odisha, but we couldn't take that forward because the obvious reason, we all know that we have to graduate from that place. In the Uttar Pradesh, government is very keen to, in all the review meetings when senior leadership is taking, like Mission Director of National Health Mission or Principal Secretary of Health and Family Welfare. This is, this male engagement thing is definitely is being reviewed nowadays on each of the review meeting, be it monthly or quarterly. So government is ready to take this at scale. And that's why Samrin mentioned that how CIPSA was involved from very beginning, ensure the resources from their part to take that forward once it is demonstrated and successes are reported. Now the thing is they may require some little technical support because it's very different type of approach required, and it requires some hand-holding. Sometimes you have to have that type of coaching model where you are going and helping them or providing some materials or helping them in doing the accreditation of facilities or identifying the providers and helping them to keep the numbers going up. So in our new plan, we are also planning not the intensive activities in multiple locations, but yes, we are planning to have some technical support at the state level so that it can go to all 75 cities. And we can say maybe in a year or two, as Samrin said, that we have a big dream that all 75 cities of Uttar Pradesh are implementing this approach. But we are, I can't say sure as of now because things are moving and COVID-19 situation is really disturbed many of the things which were in pipeline.
No, thank you very much for that. And I think your point about having engaged jointly with CIPSA from the beginning really does ensure the possibility for scale and sustainability, as noted by Oying too in the comments. I only see one additional kind of comment that came in, but that could kind of lead to a question. So I'm going to turn it into a question. So the comment is, you know, we have an experience of husbands coming forward for non-scalpel vasectomy only when the wife is having some illness or health-related issues. So I guess the question is, given the ASHA's, you know, records and registrars, is there a way to kind of help them target the offering of NSV to different households based on kind of, you know, if they've had side effects with other methods?
So, Lisa, there are two parts of this answer and other panelists can add into this. So I am sharing this based on my experiences. There are two parts and two very interesting part. And this question is really good. And there are many government people who are in this call. They must be realizing because they are the real hero in the field. So what happens? One, sometimes it happens like there is a problem with women, but they want to adopt a method. They go for the male-related method, either condom or male sterilization. But it's not, I mean, a huge percentage or numbers. The other learning which we have is it's women who stops men many times to go for NSV. So we have many case studies, we have many stories from many of the cities where women are coming forward at the gate and saying that, no, he will not go, let me go for IUCD or sterilization, but he will not go. So, and again, it is related with the myths that he will be impotent, he will not be doing the hard work, then how they will be earning their bread and butter, there will be side effects and all these things. So bursting the myths was the key of this male engagement strategy. And we worked with those population group where these myths exist, like hard laborers, rickshaw pullers, factory workers, and all this. So, and that works. So most of the people are not, because of women are not eligible to take a method, but mostly to understand that it's very easy. And one more thing I would like to mention here, Lisa, that if we have also learned that if there is one person who adopted a method who is very satisfied, comes up with 2-3 more persons. So it's, you know, rolling snowball kind of thing, if handled carefully.
Thank you for that. And another comment, I think, Vivek?
Yeah, just wanted to add one thing. I think I echo with what Mukesh said, because we have also worked in NSV quite last 7 to 8 years. So we have seen many examples. And as front runner, I think I have also seen there are, because we have some government people, we have surgeons in this conference who are participating. And there are examples, as Mukesh correctly mentioned, that there are FP champions who actually they create the examples for the others. And in fact, I have also met some male persons who opted for the NSV. They said that because everything in the life, if it is household, if it is whatever, so all the load, everything is being taken care by the women, by the wife. So they are the real heroes. They said, no, now it is my turn. I have to do, because everything, why to shed everything towards my wife or towards the women. So there are actual FP champions, though the number is pretty less that we have seen, but yes, there are people. And while the question was there, so the number is pretty low in case where the wife is having some kind of illness or some problem. So male is accepting a method, but there are people who have themselves come forward after the counseling of ASHA and opted for the method. And because of these FP champions, the more and more NSV clients, they also turn up. So they are the real heroes. And there are surgeons whom I know who themselves have undergone the NSVs. And while talking to the men, if they have some meetings, so they themselves come as example that, see, I have undergone the NSV. I am the live example, and I don't see that I can't do any hard work. I can do anything. Even in terms of, like, in the presentation, there was some myth that not pleasing the wife also. So in that case also, they said that my family life is also perfectly happy. So there are very live examples in this case. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And that, I think that really helps summarize. We have a few more questions that have come in, but we're almost at the hour. So I'm going to collect those. But I just want to thank everybody, especially our presenters. I think this was a very engaging and interesting presentation. And it was very exciting to see how the inclusion of males into family planning initiatives really has a multifold manifold impact in terms of, male partners joining ASHAs in their conversations, and males serving as positive role models to other males and feeling like this is their role in trying to take care of like the family's health. So thank you for all of that rich information and discussion. And thank you all to our panel or attendees for your great questions. We will collect the ones we haven't been able to get to yet. But I just wanted to remind everybody that we're going to be continuing this series with a webinar next Wednesday at the same time, where we'll be talking about strategies for effective data-based decision-making to inform and improve urban family planning programming in India. So please tune in again next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. India time, and you'll learn a lot more about their D4D high impact approach. In the meantime, we'll make sure that this recording and the slides go up on TCI University, and we will circulate an email by the end of the month, if not sooner, with both. So thank you once again to everybody for joining us today, and see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
Bye. Good evening.